Hi my friend, in this video we're going to be making disco house synths and vocals inspired by David Penn and OFFAIAH's song Satisfied. And we're going to find out if we can do this in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half of in-studio time by using the 80-20 rule, disco house, synths, and vocals. What you're listening to right now is the song that we'll be working on. And what you're looking at right now is the Ableton project file that we'll be working on. In particular, we're going to be focusing on this melodic group right here, and we're going to be going in order of each track as I built it out, so you can follow along when you're making your own disco house synths and vocals. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video, because we'll be doing a nice recap of the 80-20 rule, so that you can learn how to make songs super duper fast, just like this. So all in all, it did take maybe about an hour, maybe 2 hours for me to develop all of these melodic synths and vocals and all that. And if we zoom out and have a look at all this, this song's been completely mixed, mastered, arranged, and is ready to go. And that only took me about 5 or 6 hours to complete. So finishing songs faster, just like this, is something that you'd like help with. I've made you a free bundle of templates, samples, and special bonuses that I use to completely finish one song like this every single week. Visit the link that's on screen now or in the description to grab the Ultimate Song Finishing Toolkit for free. And if you want to take things to the next level, you can also find a link to this video's project files in the description as well. So with that said, let's jump into this. Alright. So when it comes to kind of the synths and vocals for the disco house sound, I'd say the kind of thing I was going for here was it's usually remaking some kind of classic disco house track. So you're going to want to find something that has a cool groove to it, like the instrumental is kind of cool, and the vocal is pretty freaking important. So those are kind of going to be the main focuses here. When recreating this track, I definitely took it into a bit more of a, I feel like it's not as energetic and it's not as like upbeat. It's a little bit more sadder, kind of has that like classic filter house like Fred Falk and those guys is kind of what mine went into. But with that said, let's kind of go through things in order of how I built things out. And again, one of the main things right off the bat, a little key there for the 80-20 rule, is having the reference track in the file, as you can see here, and having it mapped so that the S key, when I press it, goes back and forth to help set the right volumes and the levels and all that, because that's really going to get you, that's the fast track there. So with that said, let's focus on this melodic group that I built out. The first thing that I added was this, and we're going to go in order as I added things so you can get an idea of how to do this yourself too, which was this. So I think the idea that I was coming from here was I just wanted some extra noise and some kind of something interesting going on to add to the drums and the bass. And so I just found some kind of little sample. Tried to find a little spot in the sample like of noise here where there's like a vocal kind of almost coming through or talking. I feel like the original track has some cool little like vibey stuff like that. So just found this kind of this thing. I think it was from Project Freesound. I threw on an RC20 to add some vinyl crackle and that kind of stuff. Then ran it into the standard channel strip, removing a bunch of the lows, shelving out some of the highs. A bit of one knob sidechain to kind of pump it, make sure it's making room for the kick. And that's about it for this one. Moving on to the next bit, I think I went straight into vocals, which seemed pretty important. So first there's this one. So fucking cool. So for this, what I did was I found a cool sample on Splice. Kind of looking for like diva vocals, soulful vocals, those kind of things. And as you can see, I just kind of cut it up a little bit. So it's kind of doing that repeating pattern, and at near the end of it, it kind of doubles up and makes things a little different. So it is to kind of cut it up a bit. You can see it's like keep it on the low, keep it on the low, keep it on the low. So cutting up the sample is pretty important to make sure it's a bit more unique and it's not super repetitive. Other than that, main things going on here is a little bit more EQ than I normally do. So removing a bunch of the lows, and then also shelved up a bunch of the highs. Just felt like it wasn't cutting through as much. Big part of the sound here for this is this auto filter. And so if we have a look, there we go. I've automated the frequency so that it's slowly moving up over time. And I just did this like in the project file here. So So it's constantly changing and evolving, keeps things interesting. And then also I adjusted the resonance, because sometimes as it's getting higher in frequency, it can get a little distorted and crappy sounding. After that, running it into some Tantra, just adding some weird like little lo-fi sounds. If I put it up all the way, you can hear that? It actually sounds really freaking cool. So I feel like in the arrangement, it could be cool to just have that at full blast, but I just dialed it back a bunch so that it's a bit more subtle. Then we're running into what do we have here? Some one-knob sidechain. So again, this is just an Ableton shaper on quarter notes mapped to the gain, so that you don't have to like compress or attach a bunch of things and all that. It's just one knob, super easy. And then also a bit of one knob Ableton saturation to fill out this sound a little bit. Then we're running into this one knob width plugin, which is making the sound a little bit more stereo because it's not the main vocal of this track. And this is just this free wider plugin. I've just mapped the key features to an Ableton rack. So it's just, you can use your eyes, you can use your ears more than your eyes, and it's just so much faster. All this stuff is available in the project files if you want to check out the link in the description. Then what we're running into is this effect rack using the Pan Man. And this is just kind of moving this vocal in the stereo field a bunch. And then lastly, running into K-Clip to increase the volume a bit. It was just too quiet basically. And that's a look at that one. So next, let's have a look and a listen to the main vocal right now. So I'm going to just turn it off. Keep that in mind, because yeah, when there's two vocals talking over each other, it could sound like all messed up. But basically it's the same vocal, just not like high passed or anything, or not like low passed. So just coming in full, it's meant to be the main vocal. So this one, just removing some lows, a bit of one knob sidechain, a bit of saturation to fill it out, and that's basically it. Other than that, there's like, I'm going to show you this part here. It's a bit more of an arrangement bit, but you can see here like at different points in the song. This is what it sounds like full. And if I jump over here, just kind of cutting it up a little tease like that, I think is really cool. Something like that's pretty neat. And then if we jump back to the main area here, one thing is now that we have these vocals in, flicking back and forth between this and the reference, trying to get the volumes right is kind of the main thing. I think ours is similar, not perfect, but definitely similar. So I can turn that off for now and move on to the last couple tracks here. So next thing that we have is this. I'm gonna solo it for a second. So it's just some cool thing I found on Splice. Kind of subtle. Plays against the other vocal parts that are in there. It's just mostly just dropped right in there. At certain points in the arrangement, it's kind of like cut up and teased a little bit, like you can see here. But for the most part, it's just playing. It is what it is. What we got is a little bit of compression. Just trying to tidy up the signal a bit because it was kind of fluctuating. Lots of like high peaks and low lows. I wanted the signal to be a bit more same volume throughout the duration of the phrase. So just a little bit of compression there. I did fast attack, automatic release, and about 2 to 3 decibels of gain reduction. Then we're running into the standard channel strip that I usually do. So removing a bunch of the lows, making room for the kick and the bass, and then removing a bunch of the highs to kind of mix the sound in with the rest of the tune. Then we're going into this one knob transient designer, which is a transient shaper, which is the free kilohertz transient shaper. Again, similar to the width plugin, just mapped the main features here so I could just quickly bring down the sustain to tighten up the sound a little bit. Then we're going to some one knob sidechain for some pumping and making room for the kick and the bass, as well as some saturation here using Ableton Saturator to fill up the sound a little bit. And then I want some width so that it's a little bit more stereo, and pushing it to the left and right so that like that main vocal is the thing that's in the center for the most part. Then the last big key here is if you're doing this like how I think David Penn and OFFAIAH worked on this track, My assumption is that what they did was they found a cool disco song from like, the past, and maybe used like something like AI to split up the vocal from the rest of the instrumentals so that they have 2 tracks to work with, and then just built the song around that. So to kind of do that kind of vibe, the vocals aren't from anything I know, but what I did was I just found like a full sample of something to include to kind of get a similar effect. So let me stop rambling and let me show you and listen to what that sounds like together. Solo it for a second. So nice. So something like that, super easy to work with because it doesn't have drums already, and you can use like La and stuff like that, AI plugins to remove the drums from anything you're working on, or find a cool sample like this and throw it in. Main thing is this sample is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. It's a really cool sample, and I just made some slight changes to make it so that it's not just totally just dropping a sample in there. So those small changes were as such. So removing a bunch of the lows, mostly of a mixing tick to make sure that the bass and the kick are not interrupted, letting the low end do its thing. Main thing really is this filter where over the course of the track, it's more high passed and it's kind of more swelling down like that, and then it makes it sound like it's evolving and coming in and out throughout the track, which I think is super cool. Other than that, a bit of one knob sidechain to give it that pumping effect, and then a bit of lift to push it to the left and right. So for the most part, it's really just the sample doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And then one of the last things that I did add in was this, which I think is just noise. Listen to this. Water sounds. I just wanted to, I guess. And it makes it sound a little bit more interesting, I guess, if you're really paying attention. But really, that's some subtle stuff that maybe is just something I like to do, and you don't definitely have to do that. Yeah, with that said, let's hear it all together. Yeah, so it's really just stitching a bunch of cool ideas together, thinking about call and response, making sure everything has its own space in terms of like frequencies and time. And with that said, well, before we jump into the 80-20 rule, I want to do like a nice recap of this so that you don't miss anything, and you could start applying these kind of moves to make songs faster and faster yourself. We want to mention that this video is sponsored by our good friends over at Rocket Powered Sounds. The kick, snare, and clap samples that you heard in this project file was actually from their Ultimate Sample Pack, which is a massive sample pack filled with over 1,000 usable and iconic sounds. And as a special bonus, you can get 30% off of that Ultimate Sample Pack. Just visit the link on screen now or in the description, and be sure to use the coupon code ULTIMATEBESTFRIENDS to get 30% off. Thank you again to Rocket Powered Sounds for hooking up our community here, and let's jump back into the 80-20 rule for this vid. Hi, my friend, Matt from Best Friends Club here. And if you've been paying attention, then you've probably figured out what the 80-20 rule is when it comes to creating melodic elements like synths and vocals for your music. The goal here is to get 80% of the result with only 20% of the time, energy, or effort. And because the first key to the 80-20 rule when building out your melodic elements is to use a reference track, we are making sure that we're effortlessly hitting 80% of a very professional benchmark. In particular, we use that reference track to focus on playing in the right key, following a similar rhythm, and selecting the right sounds. This just keeps things fast and focused. The second key is to mix as you go in an extremely streamlined way by only focusing on the volume of our sounds compared to the reference track, as well as using a simple repeatable channel strip for each track that we add to our songs. The third and final key is that you don't want to reinvent the wheel each and every time, so you should start a practice of repurposing your old project files by adding old project files, racks, and groups to your collections area in Ableton. By creating a suite of powerful templates, Ableton racks, and one knob effects that you've personalized and curated over time, you'll be able to get a higher quality result faster. If you'd like to get a head start by downloading all the racks, templates, and all the files that you've seen me use in the Ableton project file for this video, Or if you just like to take a closer look at any of the techniques or tracks you saw me work on in this video at your own pace, you can find a link to this video's project files on screen now and at the second link that's in the YouTube description. I'm recreating a different song from the Beatport top charts every single week and making the project files available to anyone who wants them. You'll also get access to a private Discord where you can ask me and the community questions, as well as share tracks for feedback. If you or your music are not quite ready for a shot in the arm like that, I've also made you a completely free bundle of templates, samples, and special bonuses that have helped me figure out how to completely finish one new song each and every single week. And you can grab that free Ultimate Song Finishing Toolkit by visiting the first link that's in the YouTube description here. However, if you just feel like staying on YouTube for now, that's totally fine. Save that link for later and check out this playlist of videos where I remake other melodic elements like synths and vocals from other songs in the Beatport top charts. Or if you want to take what you've learned in this video to the next level, check out this video right here.